another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Jonathan Shelia, joined by my co-host, JP, and here are your headlines for today. COVID vaccine reaches Gozo as nurse becomes first person to receive jab. Ormy Council unanimously rejects new flyover project. Maltese lawyer describes Gertie Abela tax affair as mini Watergate. Malta is meant to stop importing single-use plastics in 2 days. And Andrea Bocelli will perform on Maltese TV for New Year celebration. And I just want to remind you that today's episode is sponsored by Bulgari Malta. Bulgari's just introduced their new aluminium luxury sports watch. It's beautiful, it's awesome. Now these watches are unisex. They're made from both aluminium and rubber. They're the perfect luxury gift for your loved ones. Treat yourself, new year, new you, new watch. You want to stay tuned to the end of today's episode because we've got a very special guest with us today, Leanne Bartolo, who will be joining us for an interview, so stay tuned for that. Now, JP, do you want to take away the first story?
Absolutely. So everything nowadays is all about COVID, and the vaccine is here. It seems like it's being super fast-tracked across the world and in Malta, and now it's made its way to Gozo yesterday with a Gozo nurse being the first person on the island to be inoculated with the vaccine. The ceremony also involved Prime Minister Robert Abela, Health Minister Chris Fearn was there, and so was Gozo Minister Quinn Camilleri. It was broadcasted live, and it seems like now the vaccine will now be administered in Gozo as well in Malta, which is good news to hear. And obviously the Gozotans are being treated equally as well with this. Malta obviously received its first consignment of the COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer BioNTech last Saturday. Inoculation began in Malta on Sunday, and now it's rolling out in Gozo. And this morning we had some breaking news from the UK actually, which is the first nation in the world to approve the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which is good to see. Now that vaccine will be distributed within the UK, which is really grappling with a really severe and immense second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. And to see that approval kind of paves the way for the EU regulatory agency to hopefully approve that vaccine in the EU, which would also mean that Malta eventually would also be getting the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine if and when it is approved by the EU. But that's good signs, at least, that the vaccine process is rolling out and inoculation is happening.
That's exactly right, JP. And just as a bit of an update on the first Maltese person to get the vaccine, so obviously on Sunday was a historic moment. Infectious ward nurse Rachel Grech was the first person to get the vaccine, and Lovin Malta actually spoke to her yesterday to just see how she's doing, to get a bit of an update. She told us, listen, I was back at work immediately, quote, I was doing chores, working, exercising, it's business as usual. We asked her if there was any pain associated with the vaccine, and she said nothing apart from the tiny pain that you get with the prick. So that's awesome. So that's really, really good to see that she's right back at work. Now the vaccine's in Gozo, so things are moving on. Talking about moving on, let's move on to the next story of today. The Ormy Local Council has rejected an Infrastructure Malta proposal to see a new flyover, cycling path and pedestrian path built in the San Joaquin area. So this is a bit of a controversial proposal. There were quite a few protests against it over the last couple of weeks. And yesterday, the local council unanimously rejected this proposal after an urgent motion by the mayor, Mayor Joseph Massini Vento. So the council said the reason they've rejected this proposal is because it would have taken up huge swaths of green agricultural land that is being worked on by farmers. This is their livelihood. This is what they use to, bring the bacon home at the end of the day to their families. And not only that, but they said, quote, Ormy, once rural, has today practically become industrial, a national warehouse and a commercial center. So obviously, they're a bit worried about the direction that their town is taking, and they've refused the proposal.
Yeah, it's a never-ending battle between infrastructure and rural agriculture in Malta. I mean, activist group Movement Graffiti praised the council's action, saying it was a positive sign, and it put the interest of the quality of life and the people of Ormy ahead of partisan politics. However, after coming to the decision, the Ormy Council put forward a number of counter-proposals, including the closing of the junction that leads from the Imrie Hill bypass, as well as having a cycling path and pedestrian path built on another structure. So it's good to see that the Ormy Council is standing up to this, and that they're looking out for their local populace and the farmers and agriculture community of the area. Moving on to the Third story of today, a Maltese lawyer has described the Garty Abela tax affair as a mini Watergate. Lawyer Edward de Bono spoke last night on TV and described the tax affair involving the Prime Minister and Inland Revenue Commissioner as a mini Watergate, and saying that both Prime Minister and Garty should resign as a result of it. He was speaking on Net Live last night. He said, and I quote, "This is extremely serious. The Prime Minister cannot communicate with the tax chief about income tax returns of the opposition leader or any person in the country." Now, obviously, this is in reference to Obela ratting out, I guess, Bernard Gregg over summer with regards to his tax issues. Well, I mean, it's a bit of calling it a mini Watergate to me seems a bit of an extreme, but I mean, obviously, it seems a bit of a petty argument going back and forth between the Prime Minister and both political sides now about this tax issue. I mean, I kind of somewhat agree the Prime Minister shouldn't be the one to do it, but he definitely shouldn't be impeached because of it, in my opinion. What do you think, John?
No, I mean, I think this raises some serious questions about whether the Prime Minister is a normal citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, apparently, the Prime Minister was tipped off that opposition leader Bernard Gregg had not paid his taxes, and he, ratted them out, I guess. He let them know, listen, you have to look into this guy, he might not have paid his taxes. And this is being seen as possibly political.
Yeah.
And I mean, I find it a bit worrying because just a couple of days ago we had Listrina, the whole country was coming together. We literally had Robert Abela and Bernard Gregg together on stage, at least by conference call, asking everyone to unify, and within a few days they're back at each other's throats,
exactly.
reporting each other. But yeah, we're comparing it to Watergate now, just so we're clear, Watergate was a massive scandal that led to the resignation of Richard Nixon.
It did.
So
impeachment of Richard Nixon.
this is not a small deal at all. So we'll have to see how this develops, but it does raise some serious questions. Is the Prime Minister just a normal citizen? Should he have been the one to have reported the opposition leader? I guess only time will tell on that. Before we move on to the next story, we're just going to cut to a quick clip from our sponsor today, Bulgari Malta. Now, the next story is a story that probably, fell under the wayside a little bit. I don't think many people are aware, but technically Malta is meant to stop the importation of single-use plastics in 2 days, according to the 2019 budget, at least. So this budget was passed by former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat, and it had promised the ending of importation of 4 single-use plastics. That's plastic bags, cutlery, straws, and plates. This is meant to happen in 2 days, but we're not really sure if it is. Now, Abela, to be fair, has hinted at the country, making some progress on the green Green New Deal and finding ways to make the country carbon neutral by 2050. But seeing as in 2 days we're meant to stop the importation of 4 pretty major plastics, and we haven't really heard much of it in the last few days, I'm very excited to see if this is actually going to happen.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the point technical there, and I think it's important to emphasize technically it is meant to happen in 2 days, but considering I think the amount of waste that's happened this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic with importation of face masks going into the sea, and the bags the face masks come in are single-use plastics and all this stuff. I think, like you said, it's fallen by the wayside, and no one has really given it much consideration, even though it is a major issue and something that should be tackled. But I guess we'll just have to see if in 2 days' time the government rolls out some initiative or some stats. Maybe it does happen, and if it does, that's great. But the overall goal here is carbon neutrality, right? And I think the whole world is making an effort with Paris Climate Accord and stuff and whatnot. I mean, I know China is doing massive strides in upping its climate change game. So we'll just have to see if this goes through. But I guess we'll have to wait just 2 more days.
But it would be a major shame if the progress Malta is making on the environmental front is kind of thrown back just because of the pandemic.
True.
Sure, pandemic is very, very serious, and as you pointed out yourself, the masks have not helped things at all. But if the government pledged something to happen in 2019, it should definitely happen.
Absolutely. And moving on to our last story today, a bit of a lighter and fun note. Andrea Bocelli will be performing on Maltese TV for New Year's celebration. Andrea Bocelli, obviously the world-renowned tenor, he was in Malta last month. A lot of people were wondering why. Was he just trying to escape Italy's COVID restrictions or whatnot? Turns out he was here to film a 15-minute performance in Fort St. Elmo and St. John's Cathedral, where he performed 8 songs inspired by his latest album, Belief. Bocelli's performance will be streamed on TVM at 9 p.m. on tomorrow evening, which is New Year's Eve. So, given that everyone will probably be at home this New Year's because of public health measures, you probably want to tune into this, see some beautiful landscapes of Malta as he's performing. In fact, there's a small video after this where you can get a bit of a glimpse of what's going on. A nice way to end of the new year. You know, it's been a tumultuous year. At least you can enjoy it with some nice opera and by the world's best opera singer, and then it'll be live streamed on his YouTube and TV stations across the world apparently. So,
you know, Andrea Bocelli is beloved in Malta, and he loves Malta as well. You know, speaking ahead of tomorrow's concert, you know, he said, quote, "This small island is a truly special place. It's like the heart of the Mediterranean." So clearly, Bocelli has a lot of love for the island. If you happen not to be into classical music and you're maybe into something a bit more electronic, do not forget that Love Malta will be streaming a 3-hour stream in collaboration with Trackage Scheme and Esplora, titled Planetarium, which features 3 of Malta's leading electronic DJs who will take you into the new year with their lovely sounds. Before we jump to the interview of today, we're going to cut to a quick video of Bocelli himself.
Malta è il centro della cristianità.
Santa Maria.
Canterò 8 brani qui a Malta perché 8 è un numero estremamente significativo qui. Che alla fine di ogni notte sorge sempre un giorno.
welcome back. We're now joined by Leanne Bartolo, a personal trainer and the current WFF European Bikini Champion. Leanne, you're also the owner of Warehouse Fitness Studio in Malta, and you've just launched, or you're about to launch, a 6-week strong challenge. Can you tell us a bit about the new program?
So this amazing 6-week challenge is the right opportunity for people like myself, like yourself, like anyone really, who need an extra push to go back to a healthy lifestyle, to find structure, to get motivated, both nutrition-wise, psychological and mental-wise, as well as the physical aspect. So it incorporates psychology, nutrition, and sport.
Great. So it's a 6-week program. I imagine it contains workouts.
Yep.
What else is involved in the program in addition to the workouts?
So it's a 6 weeks challenge. It starts off with an introductory meeting where I meet all the participants. We share our own goals, or the participants share their own goals, and you know, everyone has different goals. You know, if it's a housewife who's stuck at home with the kids, she would have a particular goal, and then you would have students who have different goals, you know, because they're studying from home. I had people craving psychological support. Some others were craving the sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. So basically what it entails, you have unlimited Zoom classes. There are around 5 sessions to choose from a day. Apart from that, I send a home workout at home. A home workout, I include it in my daily email, in my daily newsletter. So if just in case you can't make it to the Zoom sessions, you can always try out the home workout. Then I add daily affirmations, the tip of the day, and other motivational tips. Apart from that, we have follow-up meetings. And I'm always available. We have a Facebook group as well where people ask and share. Mm-hmm. And apart from that, obviously I'm available 24/7 replying to any questions they may have.
Amazing. So you mentioned that part of this is the Zoom class meetings. Obviously, because of COVID pandemic and stuff, you can't have everyone gathered in a room and whatnot. How are you finding that transition to Zoom? Do you think, has it worked out well for you? And then what are some of the responses
So
you've
I
gotten,
used to
feedback?
hate, and I still do, speaking in front of a camera. I tend to become very conscious, and then I make silly mistakes, which make me feel very embarrassed. But I had to get used to it because it was my only alternative. And that is from where this challenge started and was born, really, because I had people asking, listen, can we keep this up? As in, can we continue? This was way back in June. So I started with the first challenge, which was quite a success. And now I'm about to start the third one. This is going to be my third challenge. Zoom classes obviously are a good alternative. I would always choose face-to-face for various reasons. You can spot the person better. You can, at times, even it depends on where a person puts the camera. At times you can hardly see their face, let alone the rest of the body to correct them. So there are some limitations. At times it's the internet that is a bit slow and maybe they get disconnected. So there are a few limitations, but it's been the best alternative and it worked really, really well.
You also mentioned a lot about like how this is more than just a fitness plan, right? It's more than just 6 weeks to get fit. It's the whole psychological aspect to it, helping people out. And I think after the year that we've had, and starting off a new year, people want to start off fresh. Start off new and get this 6 weeks rolling. I mean, can you speak more about the how you can help people psychologically? You mentioned the fact that you have daily newsletters, that you motivate people and stuff, but what really can people achieve psychologically from this?
So I can talk about testimonies and people who have tried it out already. I had people who had a bad relationship with food, and slowly being part of this community, because it does feel like a community, even though it's online, even though we don't see each other face to face, we're spending quite a few hours a week together. I graduated in psychology myself, and I always wanted to combine and merge the three areas, because in my opinion, nutrition on its own, it's not enough. Training on its own is not enough. Psychology, and mental well-being on its own is also not enough. I find that combining the three of them together gives you the best result. Now, I felt that throughout the past weeks, the sense of community was the one thing people mentioned the most, and it has helped them psychologically, because a lot of them were not complaining, were not even concerned. I don't know what word to use. They were feeling lonely. This partial lockdown, some of them are doing the challenge from abroad, so they were stuck abroad, away from family. And it used to be, actually doing the workouts together used to be the only time where they could see family members on the screen, and they used to train together. So again, it's the sense of belonging, it's structure. Many tell me, I wake up in the morning and I look forward to reading your newsletter, because there's always a message, and the message directly from me. I try to mean it as much as possible, and I try to relate it to the current situation, always keeping it positive, because there's enough negativity out there.
Absolutely.
So it's more that, the sense of belonging. At times we all struggle, including myself. I'm always motivating others. At times we do need a little bit of a push ourselves as well. So I think it's more that. Then obviously psychology is very complex. I try to encourage them indirectly. Let's say it's normal that you cheat. Let's say you're trying to stick to a diet. All right, I don't even like calling it a diet, because it's a lifestyle. And you happen to have a meal with friends, and you cheat. You have something that is not really does not really fit in your. I share tips of how to go back on track. Even if it happens, it's not the end of it. Don't ruin everything. Don't just, there are ways of going back on track. So I try to keep them as focused as possible with the knowledge that I have. As you can clearly see, I struggle to explain myself, but then when it comes to writing, I feel more comfortable. So I send my daily messages to them. So 6 whole weeks of receiving a daily message from me, a daily affirmation, the daily meal plan. I send them a shopping list on a Friday so that they can do the shopping on a Saturday. You know, I try to give them structure. I always ask myself, all right, what would help me? And then I try to put it in practice.
And you mentioned it's a 6-week plan, but it extends way beyond the 6 weeks, right? You have a Facebook group, you have talk about the community where people can ask you questions. And what do they have, after 6 weeks, what do they have access to?
So they, if they subscribe to Team Leanne, to my, if they go on my website and they subscribe, I send and share free workouts, free healthy tips, free motivation. So that is a lifetime subscription, obviously for free. That's it really, you know, they get what I can give and do best, you know, my motivation, my being myself. So at times it's a workout, at times it's a nutritional tip, at times it's, you know, how to keep it fun and simple. So they get that support.
And I think the biggest question here is, can you see tangible results after 6 weeks under your workout?
I've had quite a few. I was used to doing 12-week challenges before, and this was quite new to me. But I said, all right, I have to work on something shorter so that people don't get too fed up. You know, we're already quite stuck with the whole situation. So I said, all right, something that is a bit quicker, so that they can see better results. I changed all the recipes, I changed all the plans to make it work. Yes, I've had one particular participant, Cherise, she lost 6.5 kilos in 6 weeks. Wow. I had others who lost 4 kilos. Then it depends on your body weight, on whether you have a lot to lose or not so much to lose. If you're already, if you have a good BMI already, or let's say your aim is to tone up, obviously it's not going to be, you know, weight loss is not going to be the highlight. Some others weren't interested in losing any weight, they were just craving a sense of belonging, so they got that. It's incredible, and it's interesting to see how everyone comes with different goals and with different aims.
Amazing. It definitely sounds really good and a great way to kick off the new year. Before we wrap things up, how can people sign up to the 6-week strong program? So they
can either get in touch with me on my Instagram account, Leanne Bartolo, or else they can go on my website, teamleanne.com, and they can subscribe for free, and then I'll share some information with them to register for the 6-week challenge.
Amazing, awesome. So 6-week strong challenge, I think it's the perfect way to kick off the new year, to get in the right mindset, both physically and mentally for 2021. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us today on Lovin Daily. Just to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Bulgari Malta. Bulgari have released their new aluminium luxury sports watch, which again would make the perfect New Year's gift for your loved ones, or if you have a birthday coming up. It's made from aluminium and rubber, and it's unisex. So definitely check it out. Leanne, once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And everyone, have a day full of lovin'.